Doctors of Reddit, what is your most surprising I can't believe I need to have this conversation with an adult story? Paramedic here. Was driving with my partner and patient in the back. Patient was fine. Patient's skeezy boyfriend was riding in the front with me and apparently saw a golden opportunity to ask a question that had obviously been on his mind for some time. So when cats and dogs eat grass, that means they have cancer, right? Me, no. No, it does not. Made for an awkwardly silent ride the rest of the way. Well, it looks like she is about 30 days pregnant. Congrats. How can she be pregnant? She is only around her brother. Well, actually they don't follow the same moral code as you or I. Veterinarian. My fragile sanity wishes you had started with veterinarian law. That the 30-plus cups of coffee he was drinking every day could possibly be the cause of his chief complaints of anxiety and insomnia. He said he was not willing to give this up or try decaf. 30-plus. Man, I'm such an amateur. While in dental school, my friend pulled out several bombed-out technical term teeth on an adult male. After the procedure was finished and post-op instructions we given, the man asked, "So when should I expect my new teeth to grow in?" He was serious. My SO is a med student. He helped to diagnose a 40-year-old woman who finally sought out a doctor after having open, festering wounds on her entire torso for over a year. The open wounds only appeared after more than a year of painful, visible lumps on her breasts. She had never sought treatment prior to this. SO had to inform her that her entire body was riddled with cancer, that there was no treatment to help her, and that she would be dead very soon. Her sister, who was there the entire time, began loudly proclaiming what a shame it was that nothing could ever have been done, and that hopefully someday we would be able to detect cancer sooner. SO watched the doctor explain that pretty much any other woman in the country would have gotten effective treatment at the first sign of the lumps. This was during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I saw a patient who was concerned because she was still lactating, despite the fact that she stopped breastfeeding her twins 2 years ago. She said, "Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and find my husband sucking on the breasts. He says he's trying to drain the milk for me." I had to explain to her that breastfeeding her husband will lead to continued lactation. As a veterinarian, I had a 10-minute conversation with an owner explaining which side was the dog's left side. Medical assistant to a cataract surgeon here. If you sleep in your contact lenses long enough, they will fuse to your eyes and will need surgery to have them removed. Yes, you can go blind from this. For the love of God, don't sleep in your contact lenses. Talking to the children, POAs of nursing home residents about vaccines. Most will just sign the flu shot form. Some believe it will give their 90-some grandpappy autism. Pharmacist, but comment still relates. Had a lady call in complaining that their husband's Viagra wasn't working. I then went on to explain to the patient's wife that in order for the medication to work, the patient needed some sort of stimulation. The lady just screamed aloud, "Me," and then hung up the phone. Still my favorite Viagra story. Client brings in her dog for a tick she tried to burn off. Looking, I see it's a nipple and tell her this. She says, "But he's a boy. How can he have nipples?" I say, "Ma'am, your husband has nipples." Blank stare. Then light bulb moment for her. My friend is a student doctor and is on placement at a small town doctor's office. She had a 70-ish-year-old woman come in with complaints of a small but painless growth that was visible at the back of her throat. Turns out it took her 70 years to notice her uvula. Not a doctor, but I regularly have people come in for eye examinations because, when I take my glasses off, things are blurry. Often these aren't passing comments during the exam, but the main reason for their visit to the clinic. Not a doctor, dental hygienist. Had to explain that brushing your teeth with Comet, the cleaner, was not a good way to clean your teeth to a 40-year-old woman. Also had to tell a woman that painting her teeth with white fingernail polish was a bad idea. A 32-year-old grown man asked me if the hot spells he was experiencing at night meant he was going through menopause. Well, it's not called womenopause. I had to explain to a grown man I still work with that tampons don't break down in a woman's urine after they were finished using them. He's been married 12 years. It was not his best day. My mother helps the Amish get dental care. One Amish woman complained that she needed new dentures. When asked why she thought so, she replied, "Well, I've lost weight, and you know that when you lose weight, you lose it in your gums first." Doctors and dentists, if you're looking for a community to serve, the Amish can truly use your help. I could write a book about the things I've seen. We're waiting on that book of yours. I was a newly minted graduate with fresh and optimistic views on my life as a doctor. Second week in came this old lady and her very dysfunctional family. They would argue and complain about everything, from the food, the nurses they didn't like, and every single medical decision we made. She was very sick, so her management was just as complicated. She had several children and they all didn't like one another and would not talk to one another. Each time we would have to explain a long update to every single one of them because they are entitled to hear it from a doctor. One of these stories being sitting down and explaining why you don't give Gatorade as an IV drip. They did not understand why we were giving salt water to her. Conversation with her son. Look, she likes Gatorade, she is drinking it, so why can't you give it to her through her drip? We explain why. Son frowns. But it's isotonic. We explain again. Yes, but Gatorade has more electrolytes. We explain again. Salt water just seems to be too cheap. Can't you give her something else closer to Gatorade? That has electrolytes? Continues for 2 hours. Wash and repeat every day during her admission. Afterwards I told my fiancé. He opened up a scene from Idiocracy on YouTube and I just sat there with my mouth open for a while. EMT here, I had a grown adult try to explain to ME that someone else s his pants. Got toned out for finger pain at a homeless shelter at 0200, we get there and the guy jumps in the truck with very mild swelling to the tip of his right index finger. Here's how the conversation went. Me, so what happened? Patient, I smoked some meth and then I fell asleep in my bunk and I woke up next to my bunk and my finger hurt and there was poop. Me, there was poop. Did you fall in poop? Patient, no, like in my pants. Me, so. You pooped your pants? Patient, no, it wasn't me. Me, so let me get this straight. You smoked meth, took a nap, rolled out of bed in your sleep, hurt your finger, and someone else came along and s in your pants before you woke up. Patient, yeah, it wasn't me. Oh my god. Somebody put s in my pants. My brother is a general practitioner in rural Tennessee. Enough said, right? He says most of his patient visits go about like this. MD, well, person, you're pre-diabetic, have high blood pressure, and are complaining about joint pain. Have you been exercising and cutting out sugar and carbs? Person, yeah, I have, doc, but it doesn't seem to help. Do you have any better meds you could prescribe? MD, well, let's talk about your diet. How much water do you drink a day? Person, I don't like water, so I get extra ice in my sweet tea every day to make sure I get enough water. MD, explains how that's not enough water by a long shot. How much sweet tea are you drinking every day? Those can have a lot of sugar in them. Person, well, I get a large one from Hardee's, McDonald's, wherever on my way to work with my breakfast, and another one on my way home for dinner. Then I have a glass or two when I get home. MD, well, that's a lot of sugar. And a lot of fast food if you are eating it twice a day. What do you eat at home? Person, I don't like to cook, so I usually don't eat anything but Little Debbie snack cakes at home. MD, those have a lot of sugar too. Person, I thought that all I had to do was cut out Mountain Dew. Now you're saying I can't eat my food or my snacks? What are you suggesting I do? Eat salads for every meal? Why can't you just up my meds? I'm not a doctor, but my mom doesn't have a good grasp on the reproductive system, so I had to be the one to explain that. 1. Getting my tubes removed did not remove my ability to get a period. 2. That we women have a urethra, a vagina, and an anus. Babies do not come from the urethra. This one was strange because she had me and my sister, so. 3. That when you neuter a dog, you just remove the balls, not the red rocket too. China, Taiwan's sex ed was severely lacking. So my mom, until she was in her 20s, believed that if you sat on a seat still warm on the bus that a guy sat in before you, you can get pregnant. If you kissed a guy, you could get pregnant. I'm still finding out, years later, misconceptions that my poor mother has about reproduction and explaining things to her. Had to explain to an adult you have to brush all the sides of a teeth. Like, no, just the side that shows when you smile is not enough. And yes, flossing is not just a thing for rich people. Had a patient in our high priority area for DKA. Sugar was in the 800s. Stomach pain, nausea, vomiting and the such. Pulled Burger King and gummy worms out of his backpack and proceeded to eat them. Like, bro, do you even know what diabetes is? Noncompliance and lack of medical knowledge is a big thing in Detroit. You have been visited by the dentist cat. You will be blessed with good dental health and fresh breaths if you subscribe.